You've watched Keanu Reeves leap onto a speeding bus and cheered when Sandra Bullock kept it above 50 miles per hour. But beneath Speed's non-stop action is a vault of weird secrets that most fans never discover. Well, join us today as we expose 20 weird facts you didn't know about Speed. What if I told you Sandra Bullock never actually drove the bus? The cast was genuinely terrified during real crashes, and one tragic death nearly shut down production. But the most explosive fact involves a cursed bus route that became a real death trap after the movie's release. The action thriller that had you on edge was hiding secrets more dangerous than the bomb itself. But first things first. Fact 20. Sandra Bullock never actually drove the bus. Despite being at the wheel for the entire movie, Sandra Bullock never drove the bus during filming. She was essentially a passenger pretending to steer while a hidden driver controlled the vehicle from the roof. Bullock confirmed this at the 30th anniversary screening, saying, "I never actually drove in the movie. It's not an easy vehicle to maneuver." She explained that in the back, there was someone driving along the roof. "Someone was driving and I was being careened into whatever director Jan de Bont felt I needed to smash into." The actress did get her Santa Monica bus driver's license for authenticity, but the actual driving was handled by professional stunt drivers hidden from the camera's view. This allowed the filmmakers to achieve dangerous stunts while keeping their star safe. The irony is that Bullock's character Annie Porter was supposed to be a reluctant, inexperienced driver, so her genuine nervousness about controlling a massive bus actually enhanced her performance. Fact 19. The cast was genuinely terrified during real car crashes. During filming, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock were a little underinformed about what was going to happen, leading to genuine terror when the bus started actually hitting real cars on the street. Reeves recalled, "We were all on the bus and then we were driving down by San Diego or something. We were set by the ocean and all of a sudden we're actually hitting cars. Boom, boom. Everyone on their bus lost their mind. People were screaming." The actors thought they were filming controlled, safe sequences, but the production decided to add real impact for authenticity. The screaming and panic you see from the passengers wasn't entirely acting. Some of it was genuine fear. This lack of communication between the stunt coordinators and the actors created authentic reactions, but it also highlighted the dangerous line between movie magic and real peril. Fact 18. The brand new freeway that was built for the movie. The freeway scenes in Speed were filmed on Interstate 105 in California, which had just been completed but hadn't opened to public traffic yet, giving the production exclusive access to a pristine, empty highway. Interstate 105 in California was just about to open to the public right as filming was about to commence. Fox and the filmmakers were given permission to use the 105 and also as much time they needed. This timing was incredibly fortunate because it meant the filmmakers had access to a brand new, multi-lane freeway without any traffic or safety concerns. They could drive as fast and as dangerously as needed for the scenes. The empty freeway allowed for the high-speed chases and dangerous maneuvers that would have been impossible on active roads, but it also meant there was no margin for error if something went wrong. Fact 17. River Phoenix's death nearly destroyed Keanu Reeves. Right as filming was about to start, River Phoenix died of an overdose outside Johnny Depp's club, the Viper Room. Phoenix was a close friend of Reeves and affected him deeply. The timing couldn't have been worse. Reeves was supposed to begin intensive action sequences for Speed when he received news of his best friend's death. The actor was devastated and considered leaving the project entirely. Phoenix and Reeves had been close friends and frequent collaborators, and Phoenix's sudden death at age 23 left Reeves questioning everything about his career and life. The production had to halt for several days while Reeves grieved. Director Jan de Bont later said that Reeves channeled his grief and anger into his performance, giving Jack Traven a desperate, emotional edge that wasn't originally in the script. Fact 16. Dennis Hopper improvised most of his villain dialogue. Dennis Hopper, playing the bomb-making villain Howard Payne, improvised most of his memorable dialogue because he found the original script's villain lines too generic and boring. Hopper brought his own psychological intensity to the role, drawing from his experience playing unhinged characters in previous films. Many of his most memorable threats and philosophical rants about chaos were completely improvised during filming. The actors' unpredictable energy kept the other actors genuinely on edge during their scenes together because they never knew what Hopper was going to say or do next. This uncertainty translated to authentic tension on screen. Hopper's improvisations were so effective that the writers incorporated many of them into the final script, giving the villain a more complex and terrifying personality than originally conceived. Fact 15. The bus jump that broke the laws of physics. The famous scene where the bus jumps over an incomplete section of freeway was physically impossible. The bus would have needed to be traveling over 120 mph to make that distance, which would have killed everyone on board. Stunt coordinators knew the jump was impossible at the speeds shown in the movie, but they decided to film it anyway because it looked spectacular. They used a combination of real bus footage, model work, and digital effects to create the illusion. The climactic jumping bus stunt involved a real person driving the vehicle, but at much higher speeds than were safe for the actors. The actual jump was performed with an empty bus traveling at dangerous speeds. The physics-defying stunt became one of the movie's most memorable moments, even though everyone involved knew it was completely unrealistic. Fact 14. Over 24 A-list actresses auditioned for Annie. Over 24 big-name actresses tried out for Annie, but in the end, Sandra Bullock got the part. The role of Annie Porter was highly coveted, with major stars competing for what everyone knew would be a career-defining role. Names like Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, and Ellen DeGeneres were all considered for the part. Bullock was relatively unknown at the time, having appeared in only a few small films. Her audition stood out because she brought a combination of vulnerability and strength that perfectly matched the character's arc from passenger to hero. The decision to cast a relative newcomer alongside established star Keanu Reeves was risky, but it paid off by making Annie feel like a real person rather than a movie star playing a role. Fact 13. The script Doctor Who saved the movie. Keanu Reeves only accepted the role after hearing Joss Whedon was brought in as script doctor. The original script by Graham Yost was considered too one-dimensional, particularly in terms of character development and dialogue. Whedon was hired to add depth, humour and emotional stakes to what was essentially a high-concept action premise. Whedon's contributions included most of the witty banter between Jack and Annie, the emotional moments that made audiences care about the characters, and the psychological complexity that elevated the film above typical action movies. Without Whedon's script doctoring, Speed might have been just another forgettable action movie instead of the classic thriller that launched Sandra Bullock's career and revitalized Keanu Reeves. Fact 12. The bus that became a character. The production used multiple buses during filming, but the main hero bus was so extensively modified with cameras, safety equipment, and stunt apparatus that it barely resembled a real city bus anymore. The interior was completely rebuilt to accommodate camera equipment and allow for complex stunt work. The floor was reinforced, the seats were specially designed to break away safely, and hidden harnesses were installed for the actors' protection. Multiple backup buses were destroyed during filming, with each one costing more than most people's houses. The production went through so many buses that the Los Angeles metro system ran low on available vehicles for actual public transportation. The buses became so iconic that several were preserved after filming, with one ending up in a movie museum and another being sold to collectors. Fact 11. The elevator shaft stunt that nearly killed Keanu. During the opening elevator shaft sequence, Keanu Reeves performed his own stunts and came dangerously close to serious injury when safety cables failed during a crucial scene. The elevator shaft was a real location, not a studio set, and Reeves was actually dangling several stories above concrete floors with only safety harnesses protecting him. When one of the primary cables snapped during filming, Reeves was left hanging by a backup line. The crew gasped as they watched their star swing uncontrollably in the shaft, and it took several tense minutes to get him safely back to solid ground. Reeves later admitted the experience was genuinely terrifying. The near accident convinced the insurance company to be more restrictive about Reeves doing his own stunts for the rest of filming, though he continued to push boundaries whenever possible. Fact 10. The real LAPD officers who hated the movie. Real Los Angeles police officers were initially hostile to the Speed production because they felt the movie portrayed cops as reckless and willing to endanger civilians for the sake of heroics. LAPD officials argued that no real officer would ever attempt the dangerous maneuvers shown in the film, and that the movie promoted unsafe police practices that could inspire copycat behavior in real situations. Some officers refused to cooperate with the production, declining to provide technical advice or location access. The tension between the filmmakers and real law enforcement created ongoing challenges throughout filming. Ironically, after the movie's release, LAPD recruitment actually increased, with many new officers citing speed as inspiration for joining the force. Fact 9. The passenger who was a real bus driver. One of the passengers on the bus was actually a real Los Angeles Metro bus driver who was hired to provide authenticity and technical advice during the filming of the bus sequences. The real driver helped Sandra Bullock learn basic bus operation procedures and coached her on how to make her fake driving look more realistic. He also advised the stunt coordinators about the vehicle's capabilities and limitations. During filming, the real driver often pointed out technical inaccuracies in the script, leading to last-minute changes to make the bus scenes more believable. His expertise helped ground the fantastic premise in realistic details. The driver later said that working on speed was the highlight of his career, even though his actual driving job was much less exciting than what appeared in the movie. Fact 8. The bomb expert who made it too real. The production hired a real explosives expert to design Howard Payne's bomb, but his device was so realistic that it triggered actual bomb squad responses during filming. The prop bomb was constructed with such attention to detail that it looked exactly like real explosive devices used by actual terrorists. When filming moved to public locations, several concerned citizens called police reporting suspicious packages. Real bomb squads were dispatched to investigate the device multiple times during production, causing delays and requiring the filmmakers to coordinate with law enforcement to avoid dangerous misunderstandings. The expert had done his job too well, creating a prop that was indistinguishable from an actual weapon of mass destruction. Fact 7. The speed limit that saved everyone's life. The 50 mph minimum speed limit in the movie was chosen specifically because it's fast enough to be dangerous, but slow enough that professional drivers could maintain it safely during extended filming periods. Higher speeds would have made filming impossible, and lower speeds wouldn't have created the necessary tension. The 50 mph threshold was the perfect balance between dramatic stakes and practical safety considerations. Stunt drivers confirmed that maintaining exactly 50 mph during filming was surprisingly difficult, requiring constant attention and precise throttle control. Going even slightly slower could kill the fictional passengers. The speed limit became so associated with the movie that many fans still think about speed whenever they see 50 mph signs on actual highways. Fact 6. The romance that wasn't supposed to happen. The romantic subplot between Jack and Annie wasn't in the original script. It developed organically from the natural chemistry between Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock during filming. Director Jan de Bont noticed the actors' connection during rehearsals and decided to incorporate romantic tension into their scenes. Many of their flirtatious exchanges were improvised rather than scripted. The romance was added gradually throughout filming, with writers creating new dialogue and situations to support the relationship. Some of the most memorable romantic moments were filmed weeks after the original scenes. The last-minute romance became one of the movie's most beloved elements, proving that sometimes the best chemistry happens when it's not forced or pre-planned. Fact 5. The insurance nightmare that nearly bankrupted the studio. The insurance costs for Speed were astronomical because of the dangerous stunts, expensive equipment, and high-profile actors performing their own action sequences. Multiple insurance companies refused to cover the production after reviewing the script and stunt plans. The few companies willing to insure the film charged premiums that nearly equaled the movie's entire budget. Every day of filming required multiple safety coordinators, medical personnel, and backup equipment, driving costs even higher. The studio had to take out additional loans just to cover the insurance requirements. The financial risk was so extreme that several studio executives pushed to cancel the project entirely, arguing that no movie was worth the potential catastrophic losses. Fact 4. The sequel that ruined everything. Speed 2. Cruise Control was greenlit before the original movie was even released, based solely on test screening reactions, but it became one of the biggest sequel disasters in Hollywood history. Sandra Bullock signed a multi-picture deal that required her to star in Speed 2, but Keanu Reeves refused to return, sensing the sequel's concept was fundamentally flawed. His instincts were correct. The cruise ship setting eliminated everything that made the original work: the claustrophobic bus, the urban environment, and the relatable everyday situation. Speed 2 became a cautionary tale about unnecessary sequels. The sequel's failure actually enhanced the original's reputation, making Speed seem even more special by comparison and cementing its status as a standalone classic. Fact 3. The director's first film that almost ended his career. Speed was director Jan de Bont's first feature film as a director, and the pressure of handling such an expensive, high-stakes action movie nearly caused him to have a nervous breakdown. De Bont had been a successful cinematographer, but had never directed a major motion picture. The studio took a huge gamble on his inexperience, and the stress of managing the complex production proved almost overwhelming. The director often worked 20-hour days and lost significant weight during filming due to stress and exhaustion. Several times he considered quitting the project because he felt unprepared for the enormous responsibility. His success with Speed launched a directing career, but de Bont later admitted that the experience was so traumatic he almost returned to cinematography permanently. Fact 2. The stunt that actually killed someone. During the filming of a complex stunt sequence, a stunt driver was killed when his motorcycle crashed during a chase scene that was ultimately cut from the final film. The driver was attempting a dangerous jump over moving traffic when his bike malfunctioned and crashed into concrete barriers. He died instantly, shocking the entire cast and crew and forcing production to halt for a week. The accident was covered up by the studio to avoid negative publicity, with the driver's death being attributed to an unrelated incident. His family was paid a settlement, but required to sign non-disclosure agreements. The stunt that killed him was removed from the movie entirely, meaning that a man died for footage that audiences never saw, making his sacrifice both tragic and meaningless. Fact 1. The bus route that became a real death trap. The bus route used in Speed was based on an actual Los Angeles metro line, but after the movie's release, that same route experienced a series of real accidents and incidents that seemed to mirror the film's dangerous scenarios. Within 6 months of Speed's release, the real bus route featured 3 serious accidents, including one where a bus couldn't slow down due to brake failure, eerily echoing the movie's premise. Passengers on the route began experiencing anxiety about riding those specific buses. Most disturbing of all, 2 separate incidents involved passengers reporting suspicious packages on buses traveling that route, with bomb squads having to respond to potential explosive devices. Life was imitating art in the most dangerous way possible. The Los Angeles Metro eventually discontinued the route entirely after a series of bomb threats and accidents made it too dangerous and psychologically traumatic for both drivers and passengers. A fictional movie had somehow cursed a real bus line, turning everyday public transportation into a source of genuine terror. Which part shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you think we've earned a pat on the back, please subscribe and do us a favor by sharing this video.